Hi there. Thought I would do a little quick video about saw blade size and gauge. Now, gauge of metal is talking about the width of that metal. So if I were looking at a piece kind of like this, the gauge would be the width of this metal. And if I take a gauge meter here and roll it to the gauge that I think it might be, which I think it might be 26 gauge. I'm going to wedge it right in there. Ta-da! It holds it. This is a piece of 26 gauge metal. Now, say I have this piece right here. I'm gonna, let's see, it's not 25. Okay, this one, ooh, it looks like it's a 24 gauge. So you see how it's a snug fit? That's how you use that there. So you might notice that the thinner one that I pointed out is called a 26. The slightly thicker one was called 24. That is because everything in the world of a gauge is backwards. This is a backwards universe. So gauge 10 is a big old hunk. Gauge 28 is super thin. So that means that the lower the number, the fatter the piece of metal. So if you look at the chart over there, the gauge of metal starts at 26 gauge because that's a workable width. It's very thin, but you can still solder with it in a beginning class. And then we will work down to the bottom there. You'll see 16 to 18 gauge. That's pretty thick metal. Let's see, let's look at that thickness. It's pretty thick stuff right there. That is, in small pieces at the limit of your capacity to solder using a small torch. And since that's what we're using, we're probably not going to buy anything thicker than that. Now, if you are working with silver, which is getting more and more expensive as the days go on with this tragic universe the way it is right now, you're going to want to stick with a thin gauge. The most comfortable gauge for basic class for silver would be about 24 gauge. That's comfortable. 22 if you're planning on working big, because it doesn't warp very much when you solder it. So that means you might want to stick with 4/0 to 6/0 saw blades for basically all your uses. Here is a package. A package of 4/0 saw blades. They're extremely tiny. This is, by the way, the saw blade brand least likely to break on you. It's called Laser Gold, but you can get the ones over at Thunderbird as well. They're a little bit cheaper. They come in a bundle like this, but cheaper isn't necessarily better when it comes to saw blades, I have to say. But it's becoming a little more complicated to buy stuff from Rio Grande right now. So anyways, here is a saw blade that I've pulled out. And if you look at it, even if I had my magnifier on, I bet you couldn't tell which direction the blades were going. You're gonna tell it by feel. And ouch, it's kind of like rubbing a cat's tongue in this direction, and it's sort of like rolling your finger along a zipper in this direction. So that's how you tell. So check out this gauge, maybe even write it down. I will leave it open for a few minutes and you can take down whatever information you like. I also wanted to point out that at Harbor Freight, there's this lovely package of drill bits, and some of them are pretty tiny. It's kind of nice. For $3.99, I think you could get through the whole semester pretty nice with just this pack of drill bits. And here's the good thing, is that this pack has lots of very small. The problem is, though, if you look at the numbers they've assigned, it's all in millimeters. It's not in these numbers. And my chart doesn't have millimeters, so it's okay. You can do it by eye. That is my first part of this. Please don't get 1s, 2s, and 3s. They'll just be too difficult to work with. So, saw blades. Thank you very much.